Hello, welcome to the show. And if you're looking for some new horror comics, make sure you head over to afterlightcomics.com. And with this comes a promo code. And that promo code is 10% off for your entire order by just entering EH Podcast, and you get 10% off your order. Once again, the promo code at afterlightcomics.com is EH Podcast. That's spelled EHPODCASTS. Now enjoy the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the another episode of the Everything Horror Podcast. And tonight, or today, depending on where you're listening, because you may be in the future, you may not be in the future when you hear this. Who knows? Ooh, anyway, we got some nice spirits for you with coffee and drinks and everything nice. And maybe we'll sprinkle of some haunting on there, depending on how you want to look at it. And nothing cannibal. I mean, I don't think we got the cannibalism yet, but you never know. Maybe the night terrors are keeping you up at night, but I mean, there's so many things we could say. But anyway, before I just start talking nonsense, I am here talking with the founder of Afterlight Comics, Joey Oliveira.
Hi, man.
Hey.
Thanks. How's it going?
Good. Well, thank you for joining. And I know you're like 1 o'clock your time, 8 o'clock in the morning my time, as people should know. So as you're hearing this, people, it's actually when I actually recorded it with Joey. So yeah. But yeah,
Thanks.
Good day for you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, the pleasure is really all yours because I'm just average, normal indie podcaster, I guess. I don't know. You're pretty well known over there in the UK, though. I would say. I mean, you're always going to conventions, and I mean, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, I don't know about fairly well known, but because we are an independent comics publisher, it's all self-funded kind of thing and crowdfunded with people that buy our books. So we do try to get our name round as much as possible with the conventions scene and Kickstarters and things like that. Nothing near the big two though at the moment.
Well, so to get started is out of curiosity, before starting Afterlight and stuff, did you take any drawing classes or any type of classes to draw, or did you kind of do that out of your spare time, your free time?
No, so I'm the writer and I do the lettering and I do the colours now. So I couldn't do like a stickman drawing if I tried. So we find loads of great artists to work with, like Adrian Garcia, Francesco Acuenta, and like Annabella Tonioni, with a regular artist that I work with. So yeah, they do a lot of they do the line work and stuff like that. But I've recently learned how to colour. That's why.
Wow. Well, so you must be like me then, where you can't draw, but you can at least color in the nice pretty lines. So at least make it niceable or presentable, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a plus with that. But so tell us your experience of how you started Afterlight. What made you want to do something like this, and now here we are in your Let's see real quick before I even butcher that too. 1, 2. I think you got 5 comics right now, and then you're actually releasing a new horror title, or you at least revealed it over the weekend.
Yeah, I think we're at 8 or 9 comics now. Actually, yeah, we've got a few. Uh, yeah, so I started off um, as a teenager making short films. I started just with a little camera and going off with friends and making just short, fun horror films. And then I made a go of it going into adulthood a bit and was nominated for a Young Person's BAFTA Award in 2010. And then I got a full time day job, and that kind of took over my life. So I wasn't able to commit that amount of time to make films because you have to pretty much be hands on all the time. So I had all these horror scripts wrote up, and they were just sitting there, and I kind of started reading things like The Walking Dead and seeing like you could do like pull off like a horror drama in comic form. So that kind of inspired me to go off and adapt some of my scripts into the horror comics that we see today. And my first series was Ghost Island, and how Afterlight Comics came about, it was into like issue 2 of Ghost Island, and I was having other ideas for horror ideas, and I was like, I didn't want to just be known for Ghost Island. I wanted to maybe build a brand around the horror um, scene with comics, so that Afterlight Comics really is the basis of stories to be told at night when the lights are out. Hence the name of Afterlight, really, and that's it's gone on from there really, and we've just continued to grow and grow our audience, and everything's been going in the right direction, thankfully, thanks to the people that support us and back us on Kickstarter very loyally, and yeah, it's all thanks to them really that's helped where we are today.
Nice. Now, what made you guys want to do the crowdfunding through Kickstarter? Is it just that makes it easier for you guys to actually pay for everything, or
Mm.
why Kickstarter?
So Kickstarter is just a great platform for people to support a project but also get something in return. So with Kickstarter, I only seen that as the only viable option to fund the books, because I pay my artists all their page rate. You know what? No matter what, that's what they get. There's no like split there or anything like that. They get the page rate that they need to support themselves and stuff, and that's what we pay. So that goes on to the Kickstarter goal um, that we try and raise the funds for, as well as printing costs and shipping and yeah, things like that. We don't really make any profit. It all goes back into the comics and to produce the best ones we possibly can for people that want to that are paying good money. So we want to provide the best comic for them to read. So Kickstarter has just been a godsend really, because it would just be so hard to, try and get them funded or printed. Really, I couldn't really see any other way of doing it. I'm no millionaire, or I don't really want to knock on the door of the bank and take loans out. So it's been I don't know, honestly. I don't know what I owe a lot to Kickstarter. Honestly, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Kickstarter is a great platform, and I know how some people are very skeptical sometimes when it comes to backing a project
Mm,
with people that they're not really either familiar with or they have been screwed over
yeah.
backing something and never have seen the light of day of this thing, and then they just feel like they never want to back another project because they don't want to risk losing etc. amount of money.
Oh, it's such a shame. I mean, I see that. You only have to look at the comments on some Kickstarters to see like, oh, people didn't get their project or didn't get their thing that they paid so much money for, and it's just a real shame, and it kind of ruins the platform for other creators as well, because that's somebody who would have backed their project or something like that, but because they've had a bad experience, and fair play to them, they don't want to um, support anything like that again in case it happened again. But I think with our Afterlight comics, we're coming up to our 10th Kickstarter soon, and we've always fulfilled every single one, and it's always been ahead of deadline. So I hope that's been, I think, a big thing towards our success on Kickstarter, that we've always fulfilled and we've always got our projects out to people on time, and at all as well. That's a big thing of building that trust, with readers.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know I back. What was it? Your Wendigo Wood. I think it was number two. I
Mm.
think it was number two. Um, that when I first found you guys, and like I just remember like at the time like I really wanted to back you guys, and then what happened I think it was is I canceled my pledge because I was like, oh shit, I don't know if they're gonna make the goal,
Mm.
and then I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford this, and then I was just like, oh, you guys funded it, and I'm like, oh, I really
Mm.
want to check this out, so I like repledged again, and I'm really thankful I did because I found a way to get the money to you so I could
Yeah.
get your amazing stuff because they are really good. I mean,
Thank you.
people may not know, but what I did was by week I took one title of Afterlight comic and I reviewed it. And I didn't try going into too much spoiler territory. I tried to do my best to kind of keep it in the continuation of last review into what is going on with like Ghost Island. Probably one of my favorites from
Mm.
Afterlife, just because it just reminded me so much of the House on Haunted Hill vibe,
Mm.
but with ghosts and well, not with ghosts, but like just the idea of it where you got these people going on an island and just staying the night. But in this case, they're not really staying the night to survive to win like $1 million. In this case,
Mm.
they're trying to stay to get this theme park rolling. And you know, I think you just said it, but Ghost Island was your first project, or was it actually the New Order? Because I did notice you guys had one called the New Order.
Yeah, it was actually Ghost Island. We did 2 issues of Ghost Island, and then the New Order came out shortly after that, towards the end of the year. Yeah.
So what kind of drove the inspiration for Ghost Island anyway, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, of course. Well, it started off really from just an idea of you wake up in the middle of the night, and you wake up with the blood of your loved ones, blood on your hands, and the person be gone as well, that disappeared, and that mystery of working away from that, and then somehow we ended up on an island full of ghosts, in and amongst that. But the main theme for me was what makes a person evil. I don't believe that people are born bad or born evil. I believe that we're shaped by our surroundings and how we were brought up, and things that have happened to us over time. Even it's just a small thing, it triggers something in someone's brain, and that was really the basis of like all these ghosts are locked up and imprisoned on this like theme park, and the idea for Josh, the psychic, he is supposed to go into the histories and of each of the ghosts on there. So you've got like serial killers, all these types of evil spirits, and you would go into each of their minds and find out the history of each of these ghosts, like a museum, as it were. Um, yeah, and then it just kind of the plot just followed from there really, and just got me going. I didn't know the ending to Ghost Island until around issue two. Um, so yeah, we've just got the last issue to go now after the success of issue 5.
Very cool. Now, what are some of the struggles that you faced during like either Ghost Island or any of your other projects that we'll get into? Is there any struggles that you guys had?
Um, the story and artwork's always gone very smoothly. With my artist Annabella Taglioni, she's been fully committed to the series from day one. Because it's a 6 issue series, that's quite a large thing in an independent comic series to have that many issues. But in terms of that, she's been solid for me. But for the Kickstart for issue one, we started off with a 44-page issue, and obviously 44 pages of artwork is a lot of money. And we had, for the Kickstarter, we were funded, but I only went to Kickstarter for the printing costs, because I invested a lot to get the comic going, because asking for almost 3-4 grand for a comic on your first Kickstarter project is very difficult, because you are probably not knowing, or you haven't fulfilled a Kickstarter before. So that's a big ask for you to ask for like £4,000, and the person just backing you on Kickstarter sees you've got nothing there before. So you could pack up and run off with the money kind of thing. But yeah, issue 2 we had to. No, sorry, it was issue 3. We had to half the size of the issues because they were currently 40 pages, and it was just too much to ask for to keep reaching that goal every time. So we halved them into 25-page issues, but we added an issue to the series. It was originally 5 issues, but we added an issue, so it's 6 issues now. Um, so yeah, as I say, we've got one more issue to go, but that's probably been the only difficulty I've found really with the funding process of just balancing, because it was my first series. There was a lot to learn, and I'm still learning every day now with the comic stuff. But I've had backers from day one who supported Ghost Island 1 that have keep coming back for the issues, and it's doing really well. People always enjoy the idea of me saying it's Jurassic Park but with ghosts. People are always either in or out from that premise. So yeah, that's helps.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helped, and yeah, I think that's actually one thing that I mentioned in the review, and then you told me about the issues, and which was like, man, like it was really nice to see like these 40 pages of comics, because
Mm,
it's really nice because you don't really see that much, but
mm,
then I saw the pages drop, and I'm like, oh no, and then I'm like, here we go, they're getting shorter, and then like that's where I felt like it felt like because of the pages getting lower, it kind of takes away opportunities, especially for Ghost Island. I felt like there was so much missed opportunity unless you're gonna be getting into that maybe more in issue 5, which was successfully funded on Kickstarter recently, and then as we wait for the finale of Ghost Island, of course. But I just felt sometimes like I don't know if you thought of it, but one of like what I'm trying to say too is like one of the missed opportunities I felt was like I kind of wish we got to see more or learn more of this asylum of the
mm,
spirit of like
mm.
what is actually there.
The grand scheme of the series when I first started it was it's just going to be an ongoing series. It's never going to end. It's going to be like The Walking Dead. It's going to have all these issues, out there. And the original idea was going to be once they got to the island, Josh the psychic would then we'd have an issue on each ghost, just totally dedicated to the ghost of one on the island, and we'd find out all the history and backstory and stuff like that. But for the independent comic scene, it's just not. It's really hard for somebody to invest in all these issues, or if say with a back issue 23, they've got to get the rest of them and things like that. So you do have to wrap them up, but in because I'm from a filmmaking background, the idea for me was always, if a TV series or a studio picked it up, the idea would be once they were at the island, then you'd have an episode fully dedicated to, one of the ghosts on the island. And then also the story, the main storyline progress as well. So you could play around with it so much, but because it's 6 issue series, you have to limit that well. You could go on all kind of tangents, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, so many possibilities you can do,
Mm.
for sure. And that's where I think it makes it awesome for like indie comics anyway, because you guys can really just do whatever you want without
Mm.
getting worried about, oh, you can't do this, can't do that kind of thing, which is nice. So like if you know what I mean anyway, where
Oh
most
yeah.
nowadays they got to take over your project, and then next thing you know, 95% of that project that you made is no longer yours, and it's just a hassle.
Well, it happens all the time in TV and film
Oh
where
yeah.
a producer or somebody head of the studio comes down, changes all everything, and then messes it up. So yeah, like you say, it's great to have that freedom. You can do whatever you want, and you can try new things. That's what it's all about: creating
Oh
new and original content.
oh yes. And I haven't gotten a chance to actually read it because I only know it's digital only. I was gonna ask you too is if you guys are planning on ever reprinting it, which is the New Order.
Mm. Yeah, the thing with the New Order, because it was like a sci-fi dystopian. That was before, I think. It was just after we launched Afterlight Comics, so it was kind of off-brand for the horror audience that we've kind of molding. So we're thinking of maybe. I'm not sure about it ever being reprinted, but we're thinking it may continue as a web comic, separate from Afterlight comics if people were still interested. If the demand's there, obviously that's we can always work with that. It's just we're solely concentrating really on the horror stuff at the moment. We've got a big year ahead planned again. We've got another um, five Kickstarters to go this year, and we've already completed one. Sorry, two. Yeah, we're going on four this year. I lose track all the time. So yeah, we've got it's there's a lot ahead in the pipeline. There's not people aren't gonna. Um, there's a lot to read.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm just curious because that's the only one I haven't read yet. So, and it's the only one I'm actually technically, if you want to say, missing from the collection of yours that I have,
Mm.
physical wise, anyway. Otherwise, what I'm gonna just do is break down one day and just get the digital, so that way I can at least say I've read all your stuff, even
Yeah,
though
yeah,
I own all of it. Well, I don't physically own, I should say. I mean, I'll own all of it because it's digitally, but I'd rather have that, the nice printed version of it just
yeah.
to have anyway. Because
I'll try. I'll try and find a copy just for you.
well, I would appreciate it.
I'll try. I'll dig it out somewhere.
Yeah, dig it out somewhere. So I don't know if I'm going in order too, Joey, but I want to say maybe folk tales and cryptid would be next, but if not, it's fine. I'm just going by a list that I'm making so I can keep track of what I'm going to be talking about too. But so folk tales and cryptid, you guys talked about, or you found, or no, we'll get into it. But you guys talked about like four different titles in the folk tales and cryptid,
Mm,
and I want to say one was like a Bigfoot, one is
mm,
the little person thing, and what else? Let's see, the Mossman and the Chupacabra.
yeah.
Now, how did you guys like? How did yeah for this particular comic? What drew your attention to just these four, and maybe something more that we're not familiar with?
Mm. Um, the original idea came from I really wanted to test myself because in terms of writing, because Ghost Island there'd been 44 pages and then there was 35 pages. They were both originally supposed to be 25 pages, so I didn't really have that writing discipline yet. So with Folk Tales, I wanted to write four short stories and only 6 pages each. So that was my challenge, and there was like a creature feature zine submission by this publisher called Free Sound Comics, based in Liverpool as well. And they always have like a quarterly zine where you can submit your comics, and they'll print them inside their zine. But this their theme this time was creatures. So I was just looking up, what kind of creatures could I do, and I was googling things, and then I came across this cryptids and cryptozoology, and found it fascinating because you had all these creatures that were based on some of them folklores and legends and things like that, that things I've never heard of. So with folk tales, I wanted to pick like one or two that people may have heard of. Um, and then two other stories that people may not have heard of, because I didn't want to really write something that people have already seen or it's been done before. I can't really stand stuff like that. I want it to be fresh and original for people to read. So yeah, it was just a long list of creatures that I found the most interesting, and obviously the Mothman's quite popular. I know there's a statue somewhere of him in America. um, and yeah, Bigfoot's known across the world, really, isn't it? And the things with like Puckawoodgie was a bit more obscure, and the Chupacabra is quite um, known. But yeah, it was really really fun to make those stories like in such to get that impact, set the scene, and get that climax at the end in just such a short amount of time. It was really fun and interesting to write that series, and because it was the most ambitious because there was over 12 different artists involved. There was a different artist and a different colours paired up for each project. And I've gone on to work with those people till now. So it was a great networking uh, chance as well to work with so many great artists.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to vouch on the artwork, especially Sunshine. That one.
Hmm.
That was
Mm.
really, really cool artwork. Like, really well done. I was like, wow, look at the
Mm.
detail in this. Like, this is really great. And then the one that had no dialogue there, what was it? Papa, I think it was called.
Yeah, 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 that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that the way that was done without dialogue, I thought was really cool. Like you,
Mm.
really, the picture just did the talking, and it's really sad when you don't see too many of those nowadays,
Mm.
where the images just need to tell the story, which is quite hard to be honest. But the way Papa did it, I think, was just enough within the 6 pages to just be like, okay, like this is enough to just say, all right, this is the story, this is what's happening without any dialogue.
Mm. Yeah, totally. I think because Francesco Aquente, who done the artwork for that, I think because he draws so beautifully, it draws you in, and you look at the page a bit longer, so you're not glancing through it if there's no dialogue and stuff. You're looking in little corners and stuff like that, and yeah, that's a great way to build tension and atmosphere as well.
Yeah, and then remember was really like a sad little tale. I thought
Mm.
anyway with the older couple where I think one of the what was it, the lady was developing dementia. Yeah, there.
Yeah, Alzheimer's. Yeah, that was one close to my heart because my nan suffered with Alzheimer's, so I wanted to try and incorporate something a bit more personal into my comics, and that
Mhm.
was probably the most personal story that I've probably written to this date. Really.
Wow,
Mm.
that's that that it sucks when we know even somebody that goes into that horror disease as
Yeah.
everybody calls it, and I'm pretty sure still to this day nobody really has a way to fix it. So and that's still sad as we watch the people that we care about just tremble away in their own
Mm.
mind and not even become themselves anymore. It's just sad.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah, and then the last one would have been the Mossman one, which is the Romance of Dead, which I thought was like probably the most really interesting story because you took that whole two people go to um that date cliff area, whatever you want to call it, just to make out and maybe try to get a move on, and then boom, there's the monster.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
classic.
Now, are you planning on continuing like the folk tales, or is that like a one-time thing?
um, it was one of the most successful Kickstarters I'd done at that time, and I had a lot of fun writing them. Uh, it was kind of like a also audition process for how well are these creature things going to do, because in my mind I was thinking of Wendigo Wood at this time, and that was kind of like leading on to that. If this does well, Wendigo Wood could be its kind of successor. Um, so I haven't got a sequel planned for Folk Tales of the Cryptids, but I've got lots of ideas for just like a one-shot comic or another series based on like a cryptid itself instead of a anthology. So I'm thinking in that sense rather than like a cryptids Folk Tales of the Cryptids sequel more so.
I think another good cryptic folklore one is the Dogman.
Yeah.
That's very terrifying. If you have you ever heard of the Dogman? I
No,
know.
no.
Oh man, dude. So imagine like a real full blown real life werewolf, and that's what a
Hmm.
Dogman is.
Oh, cool. Well, I've got something interesting to tell you later on after in this podcast about the next cryptid we're doing. Quite
Oh,
quite similar.
oh boy. Well,
Exclusive.
well, before we go into that real quick, I gotta ask. So, Joey, as you were growing up as a kid and stuff with the monsters and stuff, did you actually believe in like the real life, like Bigfoot, like there's real cryptos out there, or are you one of those skeptics?
As a kid, you hear about these things, and I think you do believe in stuff like that, or you kind of, you've got that embedded fear of, that could be right, that could be true. Um, but as I get older, yeah, I'm a bit skeptic, but I still find it fascinating that these things are based on, American or Indian folklore back then, and they've something's happened for them to, to for these to come to fruition and be, still us talk about them today. So I find that the most interesting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when I was little, really never believed in like ghosts and stuff, and then like one day when I went to a friend's house, and you know how they, well, you maybe have heard of the saying, maybe, where they say like, well, if you visit a house or stay in a house long enough, the house may get used to you and may come to life.
Mm.
So in this case, because I used to go to my friend's house a lot, weird, unexplainable shit would happen all the time, and I got tons of stories about his house, his old place, and it's just really weird because when you talk about it nowadays, it doesn't even happen anymore in that house. But I think it's because whatever was there was only used to like one family. Now they split the place up in like three different apartments, I guess.
Mm.
So it's not even the same house anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then my dad used to tell me all about the Bigfoot story that we had here. So I mean, I've always been into the monster or real thing. Even though I may not have believed it back in the day, like okay, Dad, yeah, whatever. Like okay, like this UFO is gonna come out of the sky and just take a cow and like just fly away. Like okay, but then I even had that one weird experience too back when I used to do like traffic control where I was looking up at the sky on like a clear blue sunny day like today is here in the USA, and there's just like black spot up in the sky, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then my partner, that's over away from me a little bit, he's like he's kind of looking at me all dumbfounded, like, "What am I looking at?" And I'm like, "I'll show you when we get done here, if it's still there." So he comes over, and the weirdest thing about this is that I tried to explain to him. I said, "If you look up to the sky right over, like, and this is me without pointing yet. I'm like, if you look up to the sky, do you see a black dot?" And he's like, "No." Here's the weird thing. This is where I find it to be. It had to have been a UFO or something, because there's no way in hell this would have happened. Like either way. So as I just said, I'm not pointing at the damn thing yet or whatever. And oh, by the way, Joey, if you need to, because I know some UK people have that urge, you can swear on here. We are a mature podcast. So don't
Okay.
feel like you got to be centered. So,
All right.
but anyway, I'm telling my friend this black dot is in the sky, and he goes, "Where?" As soon as I point at the damn thing, that's like literally like as I point it, like no 2 seconds or whatever, but as I just like point at it, it starts taking off, and I'm like, "What the fuck? Like what the hell is going on here?" Like that was not a coincidence or something. Like this couldn't be a coincidence that I just pointed at it and all of a sudden it's gonna start moving. So what the hell?
Crazy.
Yeah. So that was my weird encounter of a UFO. So
I can't say I've got anything really weird or crazy encounters like that, unfortunately.
oh, I have tons, man. I have tons of paranormal stuff. So if you ever need a paranormal story, I got tons of stories that you could take and turn it into a comic. So
Cool.
yeah. I think one of my favorites though for a paranormal one, real quick, is back at my friend's house there on the farmhouse. I was spending the night for his birthday, and it was me, another friend, and my other friend whose birthday it was. So when we went to sleep on the roof, my friend always had to have a fan on, and he always had to be by the window.
Hmm.
So when we went to bed, he was at the window. I was in the middle, and my other friend was like closest to the floor. Um, Somehow during the night, oh sorry, I was near the floor, and my other friend was in the middle of me. That's right. I forgot about that because he was the smallest, so we put the smallest guy in the middle between me and my other friend, and in the morning. And this one is always gonna like question my intelligence here, but or the night that this happened. But when we woke up, my friend at the window was on the floor. My friend that was in the middle of us was where I was, and I was at the window. And yeah, it's just really weird. But that's my one of my favorite paranormal ones. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Now, moving on for a minute, is the next like little series that you have is the Wendigo Wood. And before I get into this, the first thing I want to say is I am so glad that you guys are actually taking the real way a Wendigo is supposed to look with like the antlers and the deer head
Mm.
stuff like that.
Mm.
I applaud you guys for that because not many people use that design the real way of a Wendigo should be, in which makes it sound like it's not really a Wendigo if you kind of like look at it as maybe like the I forget the actual name, but the one from like you used with the folk tales and the cryptid, the little person one, like
Yeah.
that's what it makes it almost look like if they're trying to pull off a Wendigo film, but it's not actually a Wendigo look. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It doesn't need changing, in my opinion. It's perfect as it is. It looks so intimidating, and anything with antlers with a horror element to is quite sinister in itself as well.
right, right, and that's why I just think like I gotta applaud you guys because you guys actually kept it to the true way it's supposed to be, not I don't even know what you want to call it, just not it, I should say. There's
Yeah.
one, yeah. I mean, there's one film that I will applaud. I just can't remember the damn name of the movie right now, but
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that. I think it's called like dark. Oh God, like dark. Something in the woods or something.
Mm.
And I'll look at it in a second. But I'll look for it in a second. I mean, but so what was the idea for that? What made you actually want to do like a Wendigo one? Especially it seems like a cult one too.
Yeah, I just found after Folk Tales of the Cryptids, I just found was looking at more cryptids, and the number one that came up really was the Wendigo, and it was like, yeah, that sounds like a interesting idea to work with. And then I sort of developed the plot of, you know, the Wendigos aren't really the main plot of it. They're like they're the setting. Um, so I think that makes it all the more better because you've got to make the story just as strong. So yeah, it just started off with the simple idea of a man looking for his daughter, and then add the Wendigos into the mix of looking for them in that. Um, like the odds are stacked against them even more when you have there's like a Wendigo worshipping cult in there, so it's a bit like the Wicker Man style of like folk horror. So yeah, follows on from there. I'm really about just having simple ideas, simple story ideas, and just executing them as best as possible. So people can either relate to the characters or and follow them on their journey as much as possible.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea, and I definitely like the art style for sure. I forgive me that I don't remember who the artist name is for Wendigo Wood, but he's very good
Yeah.
at the drawing.
Rus- Rusikan Ivkovic is his name is from Siberia. Yes.
I'm sorry, it was what?
Rusikan Ivkovic from Siberia.
Oh wow.
I think that's how you pronounce it anyway.
I'll just take your word on it.
Yeah.
um, Yeah, no, I mean he definitely has an eye for detail as well, which I think is one reason why it first drawn to me to begin with. When first drawn to you guys to begin with was
Mm,
the cover art for issue two is what I saw through the Kickstarter because Kickstarter recommended it to me or
oh,
somebody
cool.
that I followed backed it or something. I don't remember. I
Yeah.
just remember seeing it in an email and I'm just like, what is this? And so then I started to read about you guys and I'm like, this looks really interesting. I like the idea, especially with Ghost Island, which makes me want to read it. And I was just like, oh, screw it. I'll back it and see where we go from here.
And you never look back.
Hell no.
Yeah, the
um,
cover artist is Chris Sheehan. He's based in El Paso in America. Yeah, he's done a few covers. He did Ghost Island 2 cover as well, and both the Wendigo Wood covers. He's an amazing talent, and I wouldn't be surprised him working with some of the big publishers pretty soon.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Mm.
And I know you're on the second issue right now for Wendigo Wood, where we found out the cult thing and what also can go on with the Wendigo bite out there without spoiling too much.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very creative because you once again you stuck to the actual folklore of a Wendigo, which is nice. And people gotta remember too, there's different ways to summon a Wendigo, and one of them being you gotta eat another human's flesh, and then there's the other way, which
Yeah.
is the bite, which is very cool and interesting. And before I forget, the movie is called Devil in the Woods.
Ah, never heard of that one.
I never either, and we watched it on Tube Tubi TV. If you guys have that,
No, no.
Tubi TV.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Well, it's free anyway. Just go to
Yeah.
tubi dot tv.com or something like that, and
Yeah.
you'll find it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a very cool website. But or streaming site, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the only thing about that movie that I will at least kind of give some point at, like, well, let me rephrase that. There is something I gotta be a nitpicky about, and that is the face of the Wendigo that they had. They did everything else right with this Wendigo except for the face, and that was the only downside a little bit. But otherwise, I thought they performed the Wendigo and Devil in the Woods really good.
Hmm.
So it actually stayed true to the thing. So but Re- real quick though, before we move on to the next one, is I know one of the comic, maybe it was Stay Awake, which we're about to get into, but I saw the advertisement about the Wendigo Wood issue number three. Now
Yeah.
that's still coming out this month in June.
We're pushing it forward a bit because the script just isn't done yet, and I like to have the scripts. I like to have the artwork 100% complete before we get to Kickstarter. So you guys, people that back us and stuff, if you back us, you're pretty much going to get that comic then the next month or the following month. So we're not up to that point yet, but he's a really fast worker, Kusikan. So I have no doubt as soon as I finish the script and we get that going, we're going to have that. But we are hoping to finish 3 and 4. It's only a 4 issue series, so we're going to finish that off this year and then bring out the trade next year. But yeah, we will. It's down to me really finishing the script. I don't after watching Game of Thrones finale. I'm taking my time with the writing and getting things right and not rushing endings and stuff. So yeah, but we have got something big planned for June instead. That I don't think will disappoint.
So does that mean with the Game of Thrones that you were not impressed with the season finale either?
No, 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 not quite. Not as far as signing a petition, but
Oh man.
yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, but I don't know if you've seen the meme going around. That's pretty much saying like, and they called me stupid for not watching Game of Thrones. Now who's stupid?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
10 years.
right? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness gracious.
yeah.
Well, this one would be probably a fun one for you to talk about, just because of the history of this to make it come to life anyway, which is stay
Mm,
awake.
yeah.
Now, I mean, instead of me just saying like, how long has this been into the project? Clearly, this had been in your like in your mind and done and shelved that you were mentioning on, I believe, your Kickstarter, if not social media or both. And you originally wanted Stay Awake to be a theater play. So tell us
Hmm.
more about that.
Yeah. So it's. I think it was about 7, 8 years ago now. I had done like seeing Woman in Black on stage in London, and I was really impressed with it. And I went to a few other horror plays in London, and it just got me inspired to write my own. So I wrote this 80-minute stage play, no interval, so you could keep the tension. Nobody would be able to have a break or anything like that for the toilet. You just full on 1 hour 20 of this horror stage play. And I volunteered at a local theatre as well to learn the ropes, and because I wanted to direct it and all sorts, and put the stage together and just be fully hands on. So I volunteered at a theatre and learnt the ropes and got to know people, and submitted the script, and they were like, "We really love it. We just don't think we have the technical," because it was a local community theatre. They were like, "We don't think we have um, the technical aspect to put it on." So that got shelved for a while, and it was just sitting there in my drawer. And it was originally called "Don't Go to Sleep," and then that got changed. And then I did have to put quite a bit of work into the script for it to be adapted into a comic, because obviously things that happen on stage are quite interactive, and things could happen on the stage that don't happen in the comic. So I adapted it as best as possible as I could for the comic, but it's just been a real joy to see it finally, you know, something that I wrote so long ago finally, be on people's hands and reading it and hopefully enjoying it now.
Oh yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I like how each issue seemed just gonna be
Mm.
about one of the patients. And is this also gonna be a 4 issue series,
That's
or
right. That's right. Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
And so there's, if I remember correctly from the first issue, there's 3 patients. So 1, 2, 3 issues
Yeah.
are gonna be the patients, and then the fourth one is gonna be the big grand finale, huh?
That's right. Yeah. A wrap up conclusion. Big, yeah, reveal.
Oh man, I can't wait. So now I know you were planning on the Stay Awake issue 2 Kickstarter this year. Do you
Yeah.
have a time frame yet?
Yeah. So that's going to be following on. I think it's going to be about August now, because we've got the June. We've got one in June, and then we're going to have Kickstarter in August. The artwork has been completed for a while now for issue 2. It's just about me, because I my first colouring gig was Stay Awake 1, so I've just got to colour issue 2 of Stay Awake, and yeah, really excited to get that out. It's Adrian Garcia who did Stay Awake 1. He got even better, and I think this is going to be like the scariest, creepiest comic I've written so far, most definitely.
Yeah, I think that quote that I made would fit perfect for the series then, where stay awake is the reason why we can't fall asleep or something like that, which is
Yeah.
true because, like, when you're, for those that may not know, the comic Stay Awake that we are talking about is pretty much about sleep paralysis. Very, very real subject where if you don't know what that is, God, I really hope you do know what sleep paralysis is. If not, then you need to do some homework. Um, for those that don't know, I guess, just to give you a little snippet, is sleep paralysis is where you're technically in the sleeping slash being awake status, but in a way you're paralyzed in your own body on your bed or wherever the hell you are, and you are experiencing almost like an out of body experience where you may actually just see yourself lying on the bed and just there's so many different ways sleep paralysis can actually be creepy, where you might see like even a shadow man just standing over you, just looking down at you. You may not even see a face, you just see a black figure wearing a top hat, which most people like kind of say. And it's very, another thing that I find really creepy is how people develop the sleep paralysis. It can pretty much just happen at any time, which is probably the most scariest thing ever. So,
Mm.
and
I,
yeah.
I've just got back from London Comic Convention, and Stay Awake was on the table. Stay Awake hadn't been in London yet, so there's quite a few people coming up and saying, that they've experienced sleep paralysis, and it's like, yeah, I don't wish that on anyone really. But the feedback I've had for Stay Awake is the most positive feedback I've had for any of the comic series. Really, people are really enjoying it, which is just fantastic. Can't ask for more than that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely enjoyable. And I think, like I said, like everybody, or it's not everybody, can relate to it some way or another. And I definitely would not wish it on anybody either. Have you seen that documentary that they made on it?
The Nightmare is it called?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was kind of terrifying a little bit, kind of weird at the same time. So some of those people, man, oh man, I don't know. Some of them, to me, like in a way, kind of felt unbelievable, just because I don't know. It just seemed way too,
Just a bit exaggerated.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so, but that one guy, man, I still remember that one guy where he was petrified of just his own like shadow, where he had to keep looking over his shoulder, especially during the interview. He like would talk, and then all of a sudden he would be like, "Oh yeah, about it, I did," and then he would stop and just look over at nothing. And of course, the interviewer's like, "What are you seeing? Like, what are you looking at?" It's that was kind of believable to me.
that that thing's called dramatized for entertainment purposes.
Yeah,
That
that
sort of
too.
stuff.
Yeah, that too. I mean, it's a cool documentary. I don't know. It just feels too acted out, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. No. So, I apologize. You said August for that one, right?
yeah. We're looking at August. Yeah, that's pretty much my deadline that I've set for that. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Now, before we get into it, Joey, is there anything that I didn't touch on that you would like to share about Afterlight? Um,
And in terms of Afterlight, we've covered quite a lot actually. We've covered almost all the comics, and yeah, there's the only thing really to mention is what's coming up next.
that's right. So, what is coming out next?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier about like a cryptid focused legend one shot horror comic. Well, the title of the next comic is Rise of the Goat Man.
Oh, jeez.
And so it's a one shot horror. It's going to be 30 pages, full color. And
Ooh.
yeah, for people that don't know, it's the Goat Man is what it says it is really. It's a half man, half goat. And the plot for this issue is a young family are staying in a cabin in the woods. And the young daughter, discovers a diary from the previous owner of the cabin, revealing its haunting past. And yeah, so she discovers this diary, and we find out, like, go through the previous owner's troubles with you know who.
Ah. Hmm.
But
Speaking of Goatman, not to cut you off real quick, Joey, but yeah, I barely heard of Goatman. Maybe like last year, I think it was. I'm like, Goatman, what the hell is this? And it doesn't seem like it's over here in the U.S. Or if it is, Goatman sightings aren't that uh, known in the U.S.
it's
Especially
Maryland, I've read.
in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think Goatman is more known where you are, right? It's not overseas.
No, it's an American myth. That, yeah, according to my research.
Man, then a lot of people then must not be telling their eyewitness reports about Goatman then, because I've only heard of maybe two, and I'm like, what the hell is this? What?
Yeah, the people that actually want to tell it don't live to tell the tale. I think that's what that is.
Yeah, that probably could be why we don't hear that much. But then again, look at Bigfoot. We get told all the time, like, don't point a gun at it, don't do this, don't do that. And then we get people that are like, oh, well, I left out these apples, and then the next morning, the Bigfoot left me rocks. Okay, well, maybe you might have found that one nice Bigfoot, but then you hear the stories about how this one person went out camping, and then next thing you know, their friend came to the camp picking up their body part because they were torn limb from limb. So who the hell knows? I mean, that's what I've heard anyway. So I personally, who hasn't seen a Bigfoot and probably will not in my lifetime have that awesome opportunity to see one, to really prove that they exist. Even though like I've seen paranormal stuff, but and experience paranormal stuff. But as for like Bigfoot, I don't think I'll ever see one just because I'm I'm in the city area, but I know some Bigfoot can come into the city. But in this case, I don't know if I'll ever see one in my lifetime. Just stories.
Yeah, maybe you'll see a goat man before you'll see a Bigfoot.
Yeah, probably. That's like that best question that I heard from somebody, which was perfect. Like it goes, there's supposedly like what is it, like 20,000 Bigfoot, and then there's 30,000 black bear, and out of all the chances of the 30,000 black bears, and you get that one possible sighting of a black bear, and then like you look at Bigfoot, and you could even have zero out of 20,000 Bigfoot sightings to possibly see one. It's just like, oh, geez,
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, no. So it was Wise of the Goatman.
yeah.
I like that. I like
So
it. And
the the artwork's completely finished. Again, I'm just colouring it now, and hopefully it'll be completed before we go to Kickstarter, if not before the end of it. But you want to see the cover of this by Francesco Equenta, who did the Bigfoot story and folk tales of the cryptids.
oh,
So
gee,
yeah, he's done something just out of this world. To me, it's one of the best covers that we've ever had.
wow.
Yeah,
The only thing I've seen so far is that Cabin in the Woods with the red overlay, which I kind
yeah,
of mentioned, kind of gave me like an Evil Dead inspiration. So,
yeah.
I was like, but yeah, no, I can't wait for that. And you probably don't have a set idea of when we could possibly see that yet. So
I think I'm revealing the cover tonight.
oh, so sweet. Well
Yeah, I'll
then,
send
well,
it
for
over to
those
you as
that
well.
are that just here tonight, that's probably going to be about a week ago. I'm going to say right now.
Yeah,
So I'll make sure to provide a link from Joey so you can all see the lovely artwork, or I'll just ask Joey if we can just use the artwork for the episode image, and then there you go. There's the artwork,
yeah,
right?
definitely. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, or just both. I'll just provide the link too. That way you can get the full view of the pretty artwork.
Yeah.
But yeah, Goatman. So can you actually tell us more about this Goatman? Since I don't really know too much, I just know he's just like you said, a half man, half goat. Um, I guess that like goes on like a murderous spree or something, right?
Yeah, because it's only 30 pages and it's only a one shot. Everything's very. It's going to be very condensed. So I don't want to tell too too much on it.
Mm,
Because we build up to the goat man and seeing it, and yeah, all I can say it's a force of nature that takes place throughout. There's no there's no real bad guy. It's just how things take a turn for the worse, really.
very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm really excited.
Oh yeah, this already sounds. This has got my blood flowing already. It's like yes, come on. But Yeah, I think that's really about it on my end, Joey. Unless you have any other future projects in mind that you would also like to share besides Wives of the Goatman, is there anything else that you would like to throw out there for people listening? Otherwise, we'll just wrap this up with a nice little bow.
Yeah, I'll say that what's planned. We've got Rise of the Goat Man coming next on June 24th, and Stay Awake 2 will be in August, and then we're gonna have When They Go Wood 3, 4, and then Ghost Island 6 somewhere juggled in there. It's a busy back half of the year, but we'll see it out.
Yeah, that's a lot in 5 months, or sorry, 7 months. 7 months.
Yeah, yeah. Don't know why I do it to myself, but yeah,
You just want to get them out there, right? That's
that's
all you
true.
want to do.
Yeah,
It's
true.
just that blood flow of I need to get it out there.
Yeah,
That's kind of like me sometimes with some episodes. It's just like I'll push them back or something, and I'll be like, oh, this one needs to go ahead of this one and stuff, and I'll be like, oh my god, this episode needs to just come out already.
yeah, definitely.
I know the feeling of well, maybe not in like book form, but I definitely know in like podcast episode way form. But anyway, yeah. So Joey, where can people find you or Afterlight to keep up to date with upcoming projects and Kickstarters? And would you also like me to share your Kickstarter profile? That way, if somebody wanted to follow you guys to get the latest email of your next project when it goes live.
So the best place to go is the website afterlightcomics.com, and you can click sign up to our newsletter, and we show like behind the scenes and alert you when our newest Kickstarter goes live, and including exclusive previews and things like that. Yeah, best place to be on is the newsletter, which is just on our website. But you can also follow us on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just type in Afterlight Comics on there, you'll find us. Yeah, we post there regularly to check out our artwork and things like that. And yeah, all our books are on the website as well, both digital and physical editions of everything. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Now, for somebody that uh, is maybe possibly looking for your stuff over here in the U.S., is there any place in the U.S. that carries your book, or is it just your site in general?
Yeah, it's just our website directly with us. At the moment, we don't really have a distributor in the US at the moment. Uh, yeah, so it's just directly from our website, really. Uh, yeah, we can make
Uh,
sure it gets to you safely that way as well.
yeah. Um, I mean, I would offer help, like offer help if I could, but I don't
Yeah.
know if I could really do so. But I know there's some print on demand services over here in the U.S. if you wanted to check into that, possibly.
Yeah, I think it's when we get to that scale where we do hit a couple thousands and like things like that. It's definitely an option where we'll be using, but I don't think we're at that stage just yet.
Well, you'd be surprised, man. I found issue one of Ghost Island on I think it was Amazon for like freaking oh god, I don't remember now. I think it was like 40, $50. I was like, holy crap.
Really?
Yeah. I'll have to
somebody
take a
that must be
screenshot.
somebody else selling it because I'm not on Amazon.
Oh, I know you're not. That's why
Yeah,
like I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was just like, what is going on here?
someone's trying to make $1 there.
Clearly. Well, anyway, Joey, thank you so much again for your time, and we'll definitely keep in touch and help you
Yeah,
out and stuff because I definitely like what you're doing with Afterlight. And if you ever need some story ideas, my fiance and I, who unfortunately she had to work today while I had the day off for the holidays, so
oh,
that always sucks. But yeah, she can't wait to really look at to get a chance to read your stuff too. She said so. Hopefully, she'll
awesome.
be able to read it too. And Yeah, looking forward for Wiser the Goat Man too. So can't wait to see what type of Evil Deadish inspiration stuff you're gonna also add in there.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure, and I really appreciate all the support you and the podcast have offered to us. It's genuinely appreciated, man.
Hey, our pleasure, man. And I almost forgot this. So I think you did touch on it, but we'll touch on it a little bit more. Is one thing that Afterlight actually does that well, you guys do, I should say, is you have people be able to submit your work. So how does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, so we have a submissions page directly on the website. All the guidelines are on there. Basically, where if you have a horror comic idea or horror, we ask for like at least 5 pages complete of a horror comic. Um, so it's like a submission publishing deal that we could offer and offer distribution in the UK. But all the guidelines are on the website. So if you think your style fits with what we do, Afterlight Comics, get familiarize yourself with our work, and if you think we're the best option, then go ahead and submit on our website. It's yeah.
Oh, cool, cool. Now, is there anything you're not really looking for submission? Like, is there a specific, I don't know, like, are you looking for almost anything like sci-fi, horror, thriller,
Yeah,
fantasy?
anything as long as it's in the horror genre, and because we want to be able to, present your work to the audience we've kind of built around horror. So we want you to, have the best possible, distribution of your idea and fit our audience as well. So we can both benefit from it. Preferably, we are looking for one shots because series, sometimes series don't really uh, like if after an issue one, the team could break down, and we want to be able to, fulfill the series to our audience as well. So we are looking for one shots mainly, but we'd happily take a look at any series ideas that people have or want to submit to us.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's cool. And we don't really even see it that much either anymore when it comes to like people trying to help other people out. So it's really cool that you guys are. And I definitely, like I said, look forward to your future work. And thank you so much again, Joey, for your time. And we'll definitely keep in touch.
Cheers, buddy. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And so one last time, you said afterwhitecomics.com for and sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, right, all on there.
All
You should
right.
get a pop up, and you get like a 10% discount off our store as well if you sign up to our newsletter.
Well, there you go, people. You can't beat that deal. Well, all right. Well, for those listening, thank you so much for your time for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the little chit chat with Joey. If you'd like to learn more about his upcoming stuff, just go sign up for the newsletter, and I'll provide links in the description of the episode below. And until next time, everybody, make sure you keep on being scary.